What's the secret to cooking an authentic Italian meal? On today's menu, a rare opportunity to go behind the scenes with one of America's most celebrated Italian chefs, Paul Bartolotto.
At the end, it's all about taste.
What it takes to handcraft one of Italy's finest cheeses, Parmigiano Reggiano.
They've been doing it this way for practically 1,000 years.
How to get your hands on the prize catch from the Adriatic at 4 a.m.
If you want to get the fresh fish, this is the time that you have to arrive.
I have cooked in France, I've cooked in Italy, I've cooked in New York, I've cooked in Chicago. But I tell everybody I've cooked in Milwaukee.
Paul Bartolotto is one of the first American chefs to cook truly authentic Italian food.
My philosophy is less is more, few ingredients in perfect balance.
Born and raised Bartolotto Ristorante di Mare, an Italian seafood restaurant smack. No matter what, Bartolotto's cuisine is based on cucina rustica. That's Italian for simple, traditional cuisine using only the finest ingredients available.
These I want sort of coarse. I know it's kind of bizarre, and it's somewhat counterintuitive, but I want this to feel super rustico. My training, I went to Italy. I worked in multi-starred Michelin restaurants, to restaurants that were very simple mom and pop kind of restaurants. And the more I worked in the simple restaurants, the more I said, this is the real Italian food that I want to cook. For me, it's really very simple. If they wouldn't do it in Italy, I'm not doing it.
Back at home in Milwaukee at Ristorante Bartolotto, Paul cooks up a rustic fish stew for his staff before another busy night of dinner service.
I'm gonna add a bunch of garlic. I'm gonna saute the garlic. Then we're gonna add our pepperoncino because I like spicy food. Add a bunch of onions. We're gonna make this for probably about 6 or 8 of us, easy. It smells really spicy. What ingredients can I take out of the dish? What things can I have less of in my dish to give my dish a greater clarity? San Pietro. And I actually love this fish. It's so sweet, so delicate. Turbo. This is the branzino. In English, it's sea bass. I'm almost embarrassed at how rustic we're making this, but the truth of the matter is this dish is all about the simplicity of kind of what we're doing. So often, chefs are out there cooking for their own egos. They're cooking to impress people. By not trying to impress them, you do what comes naturally, what comes spontaneously, and that resonates with the guests as real. It resonates as organic, as authentic. It's great. Look at that. And it may not be pretty, but I'm here to tell you, wait till you taste it. The taste of the ocean, the sweetness of the fish, the sweetness of the onions, the spice of the pepperoncino, and then this really meaty texture of the pasta. It's a pretty fulfilling dish. It's really good, Mos. Thank you. In the simplicity of the Italian kitchen, it puts a tremendous demand on ingredients, and great ingredients anywhere today in this world are not easy to come by. When we first opened this restaurant, I could not find a Parmigiano Reggiano of any quality at all in Milwaukee. Nothing was available. Try a piece. This is what I want to eat. Even if this is a little bit more money, so what? It's that much better of a product, I think.
Parmigiano Reggiano is known in Italy as the king of cheeses, il re dei formaggi, and it's an essential ingredient in cucina rustica. You can recognize it by the pin dot motif around the huge heavy wheels. My name's Lori Demori. I'm a food writer based in Tuscany.
Parmigiano Reggiano is essential to any kitchen where Paul Bartolotto cooks, and it can only be made in one place, a small area of northern Italy known as Emilia-Romagna. At Latteria Santo Stefano in the town of Basilicagoiano, they have been handcrafting Parmigiano Reggiano for generations. president of the local Cheesemakers Association, Stefano Cavazzini, takes us on a behind-the-scenes tour, showing us the craft behind one of Italy's most prized cheeses.
Parmigiano Reggiano is made with raw milk, and if you pasteurize it, you completely change the flavor. Parmigiano Reggiano is an artisan cheese. They've been doing it this way for practically 1,000 years. This is Pietro Lelli. He's the casaro, the cheesemaker. He knows through touch and years of experience the moment to turn off the heat and say the cheese is made. Parmigiano Reggiano was born as a rustic cheese because it was made in the country. There's certain enzymes that are actually part of the land that end up in the hay that the cows eat that give a quality to the milk that allows it to age very well without needing to have preservatives. That in other parts of Italy, those enzymes don't exist. They turn off the machines and all of the curds settle to the bottom of the cauldron. They slip a linen cloth underneath to hoist up this mass, a solid, heavy mass of curds. He's cutting the curds, which have settled, in half. Each cauldron will make 2 big rounds of Parmesan. This basin is going to be used to transport the cheese into the other room where they'll be put into the molds. This room is where they transfer the freshly made cheese into these molds.
Lo stampo.
Feels like Braille. And so this is going to give it its characteristic classic pin dot. It says Parmigiano Reggiano. It says 2007. They slip into here.
Questo qua è la data, 7-7 e la caldaia.
He's writing the date and the cauldron. This is the aging room. You've got the youngest cheeses and you can see as the color gets darker and darker as you're moving down. With the oldest cheeses here.
Il formaggio deve sentire le stagioni.
The minimum period of time that it takes in order to be able to brand the cheese and call it Parmigiano Reggiano is 1 year.
24 mesi.
But you really, a year's not enough. He said you need 24 months in order for it to have matured properly. 2 anni, 2 years is the classic time. E quanto costa?
Sui 350 euro.
And so a whole wheel would cost €350, which actually seems a bargain when you know all that's gone into it. This is the way that they test Parmesan to see if it deserves to get its fire brand.
Cominciare a picchiare tutto intorno.
So tapping all around. If the sound is even like that, it means that it's compact inside and that there's no holes or layers or things that there shouldn't be. This one passed its test because it's already got its brand. This is the real thing. It's the only Parmigiano that he'd ever want to use. Allora, grazie infinite, buona continuazione. Arrivederci.
Growing up, Italian American, all the other kids would go to school with ham and cheese sandwiches and a bag of chips, and I would go to school with, you know, eggplant sandwiches or octopus salad, things that culturally none of my other peers had. And I think it was the cooking of my grandmother, the cooking of my father, the cooking of my mother that certainly had an impact. It was born there and it's never going to go away.
While growing up in an Italian-American family shaped Bartolo's palate, it was his 8-year odyssey working in the best kitchens of Italy and France that refined it. When he was just 24 years old, he was appointed head chef of the Michelin-starred San Domenico, then went on to work in more than a dozen other top restaurants throughout Italy. Although he trained with the best, it's the simple flavors and techniques of Italian home cooking that have defined his signature style.
Capers and I'm good.
Bartolotta also brought back an affinity for seafood, becoming one of the only chefs in America to focus on Italian fish cookery.
Triglie di scoglio are the best of all the triglie that you can find. I mean, it's closest, like in the United States, to maybe an ocean perch that we would have in this country, but it's really, you know, triglie is kind of a flavor unto itself. There really is no other fish that I can say that really it sort of tastes like this. Now, when this dish was originated, I saw it first in a restaurant in Liguria, and I went back and I asked the chef if he would show me how to make it because I just loved it. A couple of small segments of lemon, just a little bit of lemon. Very light cook on the tomato, just for a few seconds. Red and yellow roasted bell peppers, these Tajasca olives, some capers. So we're just gonna cook this down for just a few more seconds. We're just about done. And now we're gonna pop the triglie in the oven, and we're just gonna give it a light cook in here for just a couple of minutes.
I want it to not taste like Italy. I want it to be Italy. I want that flavor.
I'm gonna make my little nest here.
So in order for me to sort of provide the experience, it begins really with the product.
Put one little piece of mullet this way.
I need a product that is unparalleled. So instead of buying things that are imported from Italy, I deal with pescato nazionale, Italian caught fish by Italian fishermen on Italian vessels.
When it comes to top quality seafood, Paul Bartolotta won't settle for anything less than what you'll find at the Pescatore Nazionale Fish Market in Chioggia, Italy. Located 25 miles south of Venice, Chioggia is one of the most important fishing ports along the Adriatic. Buyers arrive in the wee hours of the morning to bid on the best in fish and seafood by silent auction.
Alberto? Ciao. Ciao. Ciao.
Foodie Ellen Murphy joins Bartolotta's buyer, Alberto, for an inside look at this cutthroat world. In fact, it's so competitive that we promised Bartolotta we won't reveal Alberto's last name.
It's very early in the morning. Normally I would not be up at this hour, but if you want to get the fresh fish, this is the time that you have to arrive.
The
thing about Chioggia that's special is that the fish here live as though they were living in a natural park. They eat the plankton that lives in the lagoon here, and it gives them a special quality that they wouldn't have in another place.
Forse quello che mangiano, forse il posto dove vivono.
The upper Adriatic Sea is very rich in protein. Even moving a small number of kilometers can make a difference in the taste of the fish.
Così non arriva.
These are scampi. He enables Paul to have the Adriatic scampi in his restaurants. Very few people have the opportunity to taste a scampo from the Adriatic Sea.
Vede com'è chiaro sotto.
It has a very particular taste. You can tell that these are very fresh because they're light colored on the underside. So now we're going into the fish auction. Okay. The auction opens at 4 a.m. and by 5:30 it will be completely empty here.
Succede sempre qualche controversia.
There are fish from all over the world at the Chioggia Fish Market. Most of the products are from the Adriatic Sea, and they're actually the most prized products. These are moeche, which are soft-shell crabs, particular to the Adriatic Sea. They're prepared by flouring them and then frying them in olive oil.
Devi mangiarle,
And it's indescribable. You have to eat them, and that's that. These are sepuline. They're baby cuttlefish.
L'occhio del pesce, sembra che ti guardi.
If you look at the eye, it looks like he's looking at you.
Questo poche ore fa stava ancora nuotando.
So a few hours ago, these were still swimming. You can tell that they're extremely fresh. Alberto got into this line of work because his father did this. And when he was a little boy, his father took him to the market, and he made the decision to carry on the tradition. It's a work that he really enjoys and loves.
Ha sempre avuto una specie di mercato.
The auction works in this way. If there's a product that you are interested in buying, you have to speak to the mediator and tell him secretly what price you are willing to pay for it. He will then speak to the fishermen and they will come to an agreement about whether that price is okay to buy or not. Things get a little hairy. They don't get into fist fights, but they do quarrel. And Alberto said, you know, what do you want? We're men. It happens. So this is a predator fish, and the name in Italian is lisa.
Una polpa bianca morbida.
E il gusto? It has a flavor similar to a bluefish, but it's better. It's more prized, and it has a very soft white meat. The blood that you see in the gills is an indication that it's very fresh. When the fish are bought, they're tagged with the number identifying the buyer. Each buyer has his own tag with his own personal identification number. When Alberto buys fish, he places his tag with his identification number on the fish, and then the fish gets carried out to be shipped off. Alberto said, absolutely, this is a fish that Paul would want to buy.
Back in Milwaukee, the catch of the day has just arrived.
We sent you a big boy. You ordered a couple big boys? The lobster, l'acqua pazza we'll do in this, which should be great. I want to bring the best that Italy has to the United States. Products, techniques, flavors, history, all of it. To do the acqua pazza.
Acqua pazza translates to crazy water.
Crazy water. I'm going to put a little bit of garlic in there because I like garlic. This is a good example of a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful lobster.
About how long does a lobster this size take to cook?
Well, you'll know because one of the great things about lobster is when it turns red, it's just about done. Acqua pazza originates from, you know, the Gulf of Naples areas, you know, Capri and Napoli. You can see kind of the natural sauce that's being created. This is a little bit more rustico, and a little bit, you know, less elegant, but to a certain extent, very Italian. I have always pushed myself. I've never needed anybody to push me. I've always had this very aggressive sort of nature to kind of push myself to the limit. What really matters is whether you're cooking from the heart, whether you're cooking what you want to be cooking. I love to eat this kind of food. At the end, it's all about taste. It's about taste, taste, taste.
Wow.
Isn't it great as a chef if you can actually put a menu out how you want to eat every day? It seems like the consumer, as well as the other foodies and chef people, they always want to know kind of what's next on the horizon. I don't think I've done my best work yet. Cheers. There you go, buddy. Thank you for all you do.